Today, I wanted to share some health news with you because I think it's actually important to understand that some medications could actually have some really serious side effects that you may not even correlate. And this is for any cancer survivor who might be on this medication, or really anybody who might be prescribed this already and be taking this medication, or could potentially be prescribed this in the future, because you absolutely need to know this and it could actually be life-saving. So just a few days ago, the US FDA actually published a finding that a commonly used asthma medication, which is also sometimes used for allergic rhinitis, could actually impact the brain. These neuropsychiatric events or side effects can actually occur not only in adults, but in adolescents and children as well. Now, the medication that we're actually discussing today is Singulair, or also called Montelukast. What they found was that it potentially binds to multiple brain receptors that are important for psychiatric functioning. The usage of this particular drug could actually be linked to serious mental health problems for some patients who are on the medication. It's not to say that everyone's going to be feeling these side effects, but that it's important to know that these side effects could potentially arise from taking this medication. In 2020, the FDA actually added a black box warning to this medication. And they did this because they needed to flag some serious mental health concerns, including suicidal thinking or actions. Most of the reported cases of these mental health concerns actually occurred during taking the medication, but some also occurred after stopping the medication already. In many cases, the symptoms resolved after people stopped taking Singulair, and in some cases, symptoms continued even after stopping already. Let's go back a little bit and talk about how Singulair actually started and how this came to be found. So Singulair was actually launched in 1998. Now, in early advertising, the company actually said of the side effects that they were very benign and that they were very similar to a sugar pill. We now know that that's not actually the case. But just to know the depth and the width of how much this medication could potentially impact people, in 2018, approximately 9.3 million patients of any age were receiving Singulair prescriptions in the US. And that's a lot of prescriptions there, a lot of people. But by 2019, we start seeing a lot of reports piling up, a lot of reports about neuropsychiatric episodes. In fact, around that time when the FDA started looking into some of these reports, what they tallied was about 82 suicides linked to Singulair and its generic versions. At least 31 of these reported suicides was with someone that was age 19 or under. That's almost 40% of the suicides. And if you're wondering what type of side effects we're talking about here, they included things like agitation, aggressive behavior or hostility, anxiousness, depression, disorientation, disturbance in attention, dream abnormalities, hallucinations, insomnia, irritability, memory impairments, restlessness, sleepwalking, suicidal thinking, and behavior, and tremors. The sad part about this is that these potential side effects from this medication could have been diagnosed completely wrong for so many kids and adults, who then would have been given more medications to try and decrease that aggressiveness, to try and decrease the depression or the anxiety or the insomnia or hallucinations, when really, in fact, it could have been this medication that was creating all of that. And what we do know is that for some people, coming off of this medication actually eradicated all of these side effects altogether. People just felt a whole lot better and felt more like themselves, and these side effects could potentially stop if people just stopped the medication. And yet, how many people in 2020 or post 2020, after that black box warning was actually added onto this product, were actually told about the fact that there was a black box warning, that there are potential mental health concerns related to this product for children, especially, who could potentially be given this product, as well as adolescents and high schoolers and adults who are on this medication and suffering from these side effects, but had no idea that these side effects were even correlated to taking a medication like this. Because how many people would actually think that an asthma medication could also play with how your brain's actually functioning and how your mood's feeling? How many people, and please, if you have an experience with this, were you ever given information, especially post 2020, if you were prescribed this medication, that there could be potential side effects like this, especially if you came into your doctor complaining of side effects that could actually be related to this medication? Serious neuropsychiatric events have been reported in patients with and without a history of psychiatric disorders while they're using Singulair treatment. So people didn't just have side effects because they already had a history of mental health issues. People were starting to have these side effects even if they did not have a history of mental health issues. People who were completely healthy could have also felt these side effects too. What can you do instead? The current recommendations is to only take something like Singulair if you cannot tolerate other medications or they do not work. There are many other safe and effective allergy medications, especially for people if they're taking it for allergy type reasons, that could be given, that include things like Claritin, for example, Allegra. Now, if you are prescribed this medication or if you are using this medication already and are feeling some of these side effects, this is a conversation that you need to have with your doctor to help you switch out to a different type of medication to see if any of the side effects that you're feeling could potentially stop with a different type of medication. I think this is something that everyone should know because, again, this is not a medication that we normally would coincide with a mental health sort of side effect. In fact, most people, I think, wouldn't even think about the correlation potentially here, but it is so serious and it's worrisome enough that there is a black box warning, that there are multiple cases already being reported and correlated to the use of this medication. And so, hopefully, understanding these side effects and knowing this information about this medication can help us to prevent more injury to people who are taking these medications, who are also not feeling well on these medications. So, again, good discussion to have with your doctor. This is really important to me too because a lot of cancer survivors and a lot of my patients who might be on multiple different types of medications may not always fully understand what the side effects of each medication might be. Because we've not been informed about the potential side effects, perhaps we've not educated ourselves on those potential side effects. But again, this is why it's so important to become advocates and active in our own healthcare because a lot of things can slip through and they could be critical enough that yes, for some people coming off of these medications could have meant that these suicidal ideations or thinking or even actions could have been decreased or have been controlled and removed altogether just by stopping these medications. And I wonder how many of these cases could have been prevented if people just knew that some of the feelings that they were feeling were actually not related to something that was innately them, to something that was wrong just with them, but that it was related to a medication that was causing an issue in the way that their brain functioned. And that's why they were feeling these very low feelings. And I wonder how many of these we could have prevented if people just knew. I hope this is helpful to you as well. But I hope you're able to share some of this to others who might also need it. And if you're a cancer survivor and you're on multiple medications, or maybe you're not a cancer survivor and you are prescribed different medications, I always really just want to encourage you to take a look at the potential side effects, to understand them well, and then to report them to your doctor so that they can make changes. And as I always say, I always like to try with different things in terms of natural therapies where we can to try and minimize the usage and the need for conventional medications. It's not to say that we never need them. In fact, I am very pro medication if needed at the lowest dose for the shortest amount of time. But we also need to understand the medication well. We need to understand that there are many other things that we could be doing to potentially help our health and decrease the need for these medications too. So I hope this is helpful for you, and we'll see you on the next one.